This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our victorious Cincinnati Bengals.
Can't miss player. I really do. A lot of people think I'm crazy. I think when he gets on the field, he's going to produce. He's going to produce at a high level.
They are almost unbeatable in December and January.
We're on another level. Thank you.
And I am going to become the first Bengals broadcaster to call a Super Bowl title. It's happening.
Yes.
It's
Happening
this year.
In a row, Mon. 10 in a row. Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Mon, Eric. I am Jake. We are joined today by our good buddy Justin Wells. Hooday, Bengal fans. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. We are going to be talking free agency, gentlemen, as we are on the eve of the NFL tampering period, which starts tomorrow at noon. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, as always, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Mon, you doing good, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm in business mode. No, just let's get to work. Let's go. Let's do
Justin, long time, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just getting ready for March Madness.
Yes, I know, Gator fan. I know. It's a good time to be a Gator fan.
But yeah, everything's good. Very interested to see how the next several weeks shape up heading into the draft.
Eric, how you doing, buddy?
Man, it's Christmas in March. We got free agency opening up tomorrow. I mean, I don't know where the time went. It feels like we were just trying to scramble and do off-season shows. Now here we are, 3 shows a week, preparing for Mon to go live and break all this news tomorrow. I'm excited. Great golf tournament finished today. We got to go and watch on Friday. Got some sun. Great sudden death finish today. So I'm soaked. But hey, let's get into this free agency talk because we're 16 hours away, something like that, for the first Bengals signing to come out there. Before we get into talking all these speculations and doubling down on our topics, I want to throw this out to you guys because it was reported earlier, and we talked about this on Thursday, but Jeremy Fowler is reporting that Brian Cook is going to be a heavily sought after or heavily targeted by the Cincinnati Bengals. So why don't you guys double down on what we said on Thursday? I'm going to go to Mon. What do you think about this report from Jeremy Fowler, or did you break the news to him?
I do have sources. I think it's a done deal. I think it's a match made in heaven. He's from Cincinnati. He played there at college, obviously. I think it's going to be like the Kappa situation. They worked this out at the Combine a couple weeks ago, and I think it's going to be like a Kappa sign 1 minute in the free agency. I think Cook is going to sign within the first half hour, and I think he'll be a Bengal.
Justin, you got any thoughts on Brian Cook to potentially to Cincinnati? Stealing from the Chiefs yet again?
Yeah, I mean, that's we're talking about the looking at the ESPN rankings. I mean, that's going to be one of the better signing options at the safety position. So, yeah, and one thing I look at when you're looking at the draft, I know Caleb Downs would be a great option, but for the Bengals at 10, but I really find it very unlikely he's going to be there. So to me, landing a high profile safety is going to be pretty critical in the free agent period. And if that one happens, that's going to be a home run for the Bengals.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm with you, Justin. I think you cannot sit on your hands and wait for Caleb Downs to fall to 10. It's going to be very unlikely that he does. I hope he does. But, the Bengals going out and getting Cook, we talked about it on the last show. I think there's 3 guys that the Bengals are going to get in day 1 or day 2 of this thing, and I think he is one of them. So it's going to be interesting to see. But, Mon talked about earlier about this deal is already done. I honestly would not be surprised if it is, if reports are already coming out that way. I have to ask you, Eric, real quick, not to get off topic, but sudden death in golf. Do they like put you in Thunderdome with chainsaws and shit like that, and then you just fight to the death? What is
That
golf?
would be cool if you were hitting golf balls at each other and you had to dodge the golf balls. I mean, first person to win in the hole wins. You know?
Well, sign me up. Sign me up for Brian Cook and sign me up for sudden death golf.
I want to get Justin. So, if we go and sign Brian Cook and Caleb Downs is there, does Brian Cook take Caleb Downs off the table, or is this a situation where you could have Cook and Downs out there at the same time?
No, I mean Caleb Downs to me is, when you're talking about safety prospects, I think he's one of the best ones that's come out in the last 10 years, if not the best. You're talking about the guy that kind of has the entire package, other than a crazy size. I mean, he's great speed, incredibly instinctive as a safety, just has a innate feel for the game, kind of like Reggie Nelson did. I remember the one thing that made him so great was he just had that sort of higher level understanding and feel for the game of where to be and where to make plays, and that's something that Caleb Downs seems to have as well. And you're really talking about the complete package in the safety position. Now, I also think that the defensive needs are so great for the Bengals that if you do get if you do land that top flight safety in free agency, maybe that kind of pushes you in another direction. It would really depend on kind of how the board plays out. But in my opinion, no, that wouldn't exclude Cincinnati from considering Downs if he does happen to fall to 10.
So I should have gotten to this earlier, but I want to get your opinion before we move on, because we had a heated conversation on Thursday's show. Mon has finally joined the dark side and is wanting the Bengals to take the best player available, to the point that he was all in on drafting Jeremiah Love at 10. What are your thoughts on taking the best player available rather than taking the best defensive player available? Mon and I are out there saying Jeremiah Love or a wide receiver if there's an amazing slot receiver there. Do you think we're need to be put in the mental institution, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
No,
Thank you, Justin.
no, I
you,
mean, like, here's the thing. I mean, Jeremiah Love is a great player. Don't get me wrong, but we can go over all the statistics about running backs and shorter careers and what have you. I just think there's just so many deficiencies on defense. That's really got to be. They've got to. To me, if the first 3 picks aren't defense in this draft, it's a major failure of the Bengals. I love Jeremiah Love, but there's just too many other holes on defense. Yeah, sure. If Downs is gone, if Sonny Styles is gone, if obviously there's a really good chance that there's a run on defensive end edge types in the first 8-9 picks. If all those guys are gone, you can still go to a Peter Woods, defense tackle out of Clemson. So this is going to be a really great draft on the defensive side of the ball. And really, when you look at the needs for Cincinnati, it's pretty much the biggest needs. It's pretty much exclusively defense. That if they go Jeremiah Love in this draft, when there's an impact defensive player there available, that's going to be a hard one for me to stomach, especially considering how much we've watched the defense be a problem over the last 2 years.
Great point, Justin.
No, I just want to counter. If Jeremiah Love was a Gator, Justin would be all in. No, listen. The first question that you asked them, the Bengals can go out and starting tomorrow and sign starter quality defensive players at every level of the defense, defensive line, linebacker, safety, defensive back. They're still going to target those in the early rounds of the draft. They really are. Now, what I said the other night about Jeremiah Love, if the Bengals don't do anything, they have a repeat of 2025 in free agency. Yeah, you can't draft Jeremiah Love at 10. But if they're aggressive, they sign some starter quality players. Jeremiah Love is there, ranked 6th on the big board, and there's a defensive player that's 16 or 17 on the big board. I don't know, man. I think you should go BPA, but we'll see. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, but that's something to monitor. And I admit, I wasn't into Jahmyr Gibbs. I wasn't into Bijan Robinson. I see those guys play. They're just different. They're different players, and I think Jeremiah Love's in that category.
Yeah, I listen. I think that again, Mon, I understand where you're coming from. If the Bengals go out and they do what is being reported, by the way, by a lot of NFL media pundits, especially today, that the Bengals are going to be heavy players in free agency, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I am all about best player available, but if one of those best player availables is a defensive player, I'm with Justin. You cannot pass up an elite talent at 10 for a position that you arguably have already one of the ascending running backs in the NFL right now in Chase Brown. So, yes, Jeremiah is a great football player, but if one of those guys is sitting at 10, which is a good possibility, even if a guy like Bain drops to 10, I mean, you've got to scoop one of those guys up. You really do. I mean, the Bengals have failed miserably in that department in picking around this area because they always try to reach for need instead of going best player available. But if one of those best player availables is a defensive player, they've got to go defense 100%.
Anytime you go for a position of need in the first, you end up with a Billy Price. You end up with possibly a Miles Murphy, he's ascending, but it's going into year 4. Take the best player available. I don't care if that's a cornerback. Take the best player available. Fix your stuff in free agency.
It could be a corner. It could be,
and I'm okay with that as long as you fixed it in free agency. I don't want them to take the 20th best player at 10 when the 11th best player or the 7th best player is there. It's just you got to set yourself up in free agency. We've got one super chat I'm going to throw out here. KP is already crashing out a little bit, but we're going to put this up here. We do appreciate your super chat, KP. KP says we got a bagel for the top free agent. Baltimore shows how a front office should run, wasting a Hall of Fame QB and receiver. I'm not going to crash out yet. I don't think any of us. We've drank the Kool-Aid. We believe that they're going to finally listen to Joe Burrow. Before we do, though, guys, in any world, do you want to see the Bengals trade 2 first-round picks to get a player like Maxx Crosby like Baltimore did? They're really, really, really tying their hands, aren't they, Mon?
We talked about that like 3 episodes ago. You guys asked me about him. I'm not a Maxx Crosby guy. Is he better than Hendrickson? I think he is. Yeah, he is. The Bengals need more than him. In trading away 2 number 1 picks for Maxx Crosby, who is a difference maker. He's a good player. I'm not saying he's not. We had a guy that had 35 sacks over 2 years, and our defense was bottom 5 in the NFL. We need more. We need more. And I think, the Bengals defense and the Ravens defense, they're on different planets right now. He fits better with what they're trying to do. And I'm not going to crash out about it. The guy, they gave up a lot for him. They did. They went all in, and good for them. I'm actually not stressed about it at all.
Well, and Maxx Crosby, let's be real about this. He's had a very interesting career, right? He's a very streaky player. So, I don't know if I'm willing to give up 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby. I could see giving up a first rounder for him. But giving up your future the next 2 years for Maxx Crosby, again, a guy who has been very streaky at best. I'm with Mon on this. I think they gave up too much for Maxx Crosby. The Bears offered 2 first-round picks too, but the Bears picks were not as high as the Ravens, so they went with the Ravens. Justin?
Yeah, I mean, Crosby is not the pass rusher that Hendrickson is, obviously, and the numbers back that up, but he also is very strong against the run. So he's I would say, more of an all-around player at the end position. But yeah, I don't think personally that one doesn't bother me a lot either. That's a lot of draft capital for a guy who's going to be 29 years old at the start of the season. So I think with the Bengals, with the needs across the board, they need bodies more than they need one guy. Maxx Crosby is not the difference between the Bengals being a contender on defense and not. I mean, they just need more pieces, and I think having the draft capital is more important than getting him. That situation is probably is going to work out better for Baltimore. I mean, we'll see. They probably feel like they're a little closer on defense, but from my perspective, yeah, that's not one I'm going to lose any sleep over either.
I agree with CC. Oh, sorry, Mon. I was going to say real quick, I agree with CC. 2 first-rounders for Jalen Carter. Now we might be talking my language.
I would I'd give up a first for Carter and maybe a third. No, but I just get back to Crosby. I want to make it clear he's a very good player. He's a good player, but Jakey said something. He is streaky. I remember in 2023 when Trey was still having his contract issue with the Bengals and it bled over into the next year. I kept track of it. Maxx Crosby had one sack over an 8-game period. But everybody has him, as Mark, well, he's better than Mark Gastineau. But you know what I'm trying to say? They had him up there as like the best pass rusher in football and all this. I hate to use the word overrated. I think he's a better all-around player than Trey Hendrickson. And Justin, you are right. The stats do back it up. Trey Hendrickson's a better pass rusher. I mean, it's not you can't deny it. You cannot deny it. And you know what? Maxx Crosby had Malcolm Kuntz on the side. This is before his injury. Had 9 sacks one year. Very dominant player. He's had better defensive line talent than Trey Hendrickson has had over the last 3 years.
Oh, no doubt.
To help out. So, hey, man, I wish him the best. We'll see him 2 times. He's a hell of a football player. I want to make that crystal clear to all the Raven fans that are in the message here.
So we did talk. I don't know that we went into this too much on Thursday's show because you guys did identify the players that you were predicting the Bengals are going to go out and sign. I don't think that we got into edge too much. Do you guys have any edge targets that can we go out there and get an edge piece to replace Trey Hendrickson in free agency? The name that always comes up is Odafe Owe, but there's not a lot of other big names out there. Jake, Mon, do you guys have any targets outside of Odafe that to come in and replace Trey?
I mean, I don't know how much money the Bengals are going to be throwing around. Obviously there's a couple guys out there. Jalen Phillips is out there, but I don't think that's something the Bengals are going to be looking at. For me, honestly, I think the focus more than anything needs to be on safety, linebacker, and if you're going to go out and get a defensive tackle, go out and get a defensive tackle. I will say this, though. I said this on the last show. Montgomery, the Bengals are going to sign somebody from the Packers. I just feel it. And Rashawn Gary, don't be surprised if the Bengals sign Gary. He's a guy that's very familiar with Montgomery. I know he's not one of the top 30 free agents or whatever, but he's a solid edge guy. The Bengals could probably get him for a pretty decent price. But I could see Rashawn Gary being a target of the Bengals, the Green Bay Packers.
Nobody on the list, nobody available Monday is going to match Trey Hendrickson's production. I think the Bengals are going to want to attack that with waves, multiple bodies. I mentioned Chazon that played at LSU. He sort of reinvigorated his career last year. He was Joe Burrow's teammate. There was Draymond Jones also played at LSU. Somebody like that, Boyd Mafe. Some of them are going to demand a lot of money. There's a defensive tackle from the Broncos, Franklin Myers, that some people had coming to Cincinnati, but he could get $20 million a year. I think the Bengals are going to sign 2 or 3 starter quality guys to help out, and then of course 10 and 41 in the draft. They're going to add more pieces there. I think the whole unit overall is going to be better. But if you're expecting 17 and a half sacks from a free agent signing this year, it's not going to happen.
So I've seen that I've seen that Mafe. I've seen that name come up a couple times with, the Bengals as well. So Mon could be right. I think he played for the Seahawks. Did he play for the Seahawks? I think he's from the Seattle Seahawks. But
yeah, he didn't have a lot of production last year, but they have a great defensive line. They attack teams in waves. So I could see that somebody like that. Listen, you mentioned earlier, but Jeremy Fowler, he says he expects the Bengals to be probably the most active team in free agency. Yeah. So that's just weird hearing him say that. But Justin, what do you think?
Well, that's what I want to get Justin's thoughts on. Okay, this doesn't look like a big free agency class out there for edge rushers. So, Justin, why don't you give us our thoughts? If we don't go and grab a replacement in free agency, can you? We've heard the people that are in the first round, but maybe throw some second, third round steals that could be out there, and talk about how deep the edge class is in this year's draft.
Yeah, it's definitely a deep class. There's going to be some interesting names as you move into the latter parts of round 1 into rounds 2 and 3. Two names in free agency I that did kind of pique my interest. One would be Joey Bosa, who of course had a great career at Ohio State. Obviously, he's kind of at the on the downside of his career, but that might be an option. And also Bradley Chubb, who was a former top 3 pick.
You're
30
right.
years old, coming off 8.5 sack season with the Dolphins. So that would be an intriguing name as well. But yeah, a lot of length in this class. The one thing that's kind of interesting to me is 2 of the guys that are really being talked up toward the top of the board are Reuben Bain and Cassius Howell, who both had Howell especially really impressed
Texas
me.
A&M, right? Is he Texas A&M?
Correct. Yeah, formerly at Bowling Green before that. But both of those guys, and while they did great at the combine, they're both on the shorter side. Bain's 6'2" and change, I think. Howell's only 6'2". Weight-wise, they're fine, but both have really short arms. So that's going to be really interesting to see what they do at the next level. And I know that's going to be a really interesting thing to see what happens with them in the draft, if that impacts them at all with the shorter arm span. But, definitely some names that I like as I look down the board. Zion Young out of Missouri is 6'6". He was a really nice player for the Tigers this year. The guy from Penn State, another D end with some length, is Danny Dennis Sutton, who was a nice player for the Nittany Lions. Anthony Lucas out of USC, another 6'6" guy. I mean, it's going to be interesting to me. Tyreek Sapp from Florida is another intriguing guy. Now he's a little on the shorter side, but kind of an intriguing potential end / maybe a 3-tech gets, kind of mixes it up in terms of where he plays. Yeah, definitely a strong class. There's going to be a lot of names that a lot of guys on the edge that get drafted. There's going to be plenty of options rounds 2, 3, and 4. I don't think, in fact, I think if there is a run on edge guys early, and that kind of opens things up for Cincinnati to go maybe D tackle or safety, corner, or even linebacker, that's going to be fine. There's definitely going to be guys later on in the draft in the middle rounds that will be worth their while.
Justin, I'll just ask you one name real quick. I know we're going to focus on free agency. We're mixing in draft stuff here. I was in Spaces the other day, and there was a meltdown there. They were saying the Bengals might consider you're an SEC guy, Keldrick Falk from Auburn. Is he another Shamar Stewart?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's going to be kind of the knock on him. Very strong against the run. Didn't have big pass rushing numbers. I'd have to pull those up, but I know that's been the big. Oh
God, the Bengals are going to love this guy. Jesus.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the length, yeah, I mean that's a great comparison. Is
oh my God.
He's 6'6", 280. He's a big dude, man.
I
He
can't
is,
take-
and he tested very well at the combine. But yeah, there's definitely a lack of pass rushing numbers, and that's kind of been the problem. They went for these guys who have performed well at the combine, and I like that the Bengals kind of have a profile they look for in their DNs, their edge guys. They like a lot guys with a lot of length. They like guys who are 6'4",
Yeah.
6'5", 6'6". Yeah. But Dunlap, of course, was a highly productive college player who would have been a top 10 pick had it not been for an unfortunate incident at the end of his college career.
Those dang Gators.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a situation where he kind of fell into their lap in the second round. And, when they went after these guys in the first round, it hasn't paid off yet. Fox, a guy I really hope is off the board by the time they draft at 10.
I'm going to tell you right now, if we draft another guy that did not produce in college in the first round, I will lose my ever-loving shit.
I think you need to stop saying this because Duke watches the show. Crash outs.
I will be throwing Mon's ice cream celebration cake all over his house.
Jake,
He's
6'6", 285. He's built like a Greek god. You want that Tyrannosaurus Rex, that Reuben Bain with small arms.
Hold on.
I mean, come on.
Mon. I want the Bengals to go out and draft a guy that actually produced at a high level.
That would be good. This would be good podcasting if they draft him. It would be great for the show.
That would be great. I want to get so let me get Justin's comment because we're going to get back to free agents, but a lot of teams will take him off their board because he's got under 30-inch arms. But the Cincinnati Bengals have the two top performing players under 30-inch arms in the last 15 years.
It's not under 30. It's not under 30.
Under 31.
Under 31. Under 30.
Okay.
Yeah, I got him really T-Rex arms. So do you think he could fall to the Bengals, knowing the Bengals are probably going to take him because they don't really care about that number or they have seen success with that number? Do you think other teams are going to devalue him that much because of those shorter arms?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not, it's hard to say. I certainly think that that's the type of trait that could drop a guy like Bain from a potential top 5 pick down the board. Certainly great, just like Kyle Hamilton a few years ago everyone was projecting him as a top 5 pick. He ran a slow 40 at the combine. I think he was in the high 4.5s, and then he dropped into the end of the first round, and then look what happened there. So certainly that's the the type of thing that will drop a player below where they should be picked. Just like, and I know we've in some of our group texts, we've talked about Caleb Banks, and I've said he's a guy who has elite athletic skills for a defensive tackle. He's going to get drafted higher than he should because of that. I would be nervous taking him at 10 just because of the general lack of production and injury history. But if you can get what the Gators got out of his last 6 games in 2024 on a consistent basis, you're talking about a guy who, it really compares to guys like John Henderson and Marcus Stroud and names like that in terms of his ability. So potential ability. So, and those were guys that went around pick 10. So, it's kind of catch 22. Do you take the guy who has some traits that worry are going to allow him to translate to the next level, or do you take the guy with potential who hasn't really done it at the college level, or at least hasn't consistently done it at the college level, but has the potential to maybe produce in a big way at the next level? That's always kind of that's why those guys get paid a lot of money to make the decisions they do.
I was joking about Bain. I think Bain would be a great pick. I think he has the intangibles. He has that nastiness the team needs. But
we got to bounce. We have to overcorrect from drafting Shamar Stewart. So I'm going to take Bain too if we can. A couple more super chats here before we move on. About Allah says, "I'm late. Houday, hey fellas, thanks for joining us. Thank
you, buddy.
Thank you here tonight.
Thanks a lot.
we're doing our best to be excited and not go and worry and say they're going to mess this up. One more from KP from KC. We need more. I agree. That's why we couldn't afford to let a player walk without picks. This offseason is pivotal for Burrow and crew. Before we talk a few more free agents, you guys think that we should have taken whatever we could have gotten for Trey Hendrickson back at the trade deadline? In hindsight, we think that he took this business decision. He could have played and came out there with whatever sports hernia he had to have. But would you take in a fifth round?
Yeah.
Well, knowing what we know now, everybody would have taken a fifth round. But with the assumption that he was going to play, would you still have taken a fifth round last year, Amon?
I think last year they were offered a 2 for him. I think
I'm talking at the trade deadline. We weren't offered much.
Yeah, well, of course, in hindsight, the way it shaked out, yeah, I would have. But I do wonder. You guys hear that noise?
Yes.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
The static.
That is Duke Tobin listening in on our podcast, trying to get the inside info.
I will say this. I just think if Maxx Crosby got 2 number ones, I'm just curious. Would Trey have at least gotten one? One for. I mean, could we have gotten a first round pick for Trey Hendrickson?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody.
No, I don't think so either. I don't. It's just really weird. Yeah, I know a lot of Bengal fans are salty about it. They think they should have traded for him or signed him. Tagged him and then tried to shop him to a team, get a third or fourth. Yeah, I wish they would have done that. But the way the Bengals operate, that would hold up $30 million, and the way they operate, it might delay some free agent signings. That's just the way their mentality is. So, it is what it is. I wish him the best. He's one of the best Bengals of all time. Greatest free agent acquisition.
If the Bengals go out and spend money tomorrow, nobody's going to be talking about whether or not we got something for Trey Hendrickson or should have signed him and trade him and all that stuff. If the Bengals go out and do what they're supposed to do tomorrow, then I don't think anybody will be worried about the Trey Hendrickson situation. Obviously, I would have liked them to get something for Trey. I feel like all these other teams do a much better job of getting something from these players without letting them walk. Jesse Bates and Trey Hendrickson both. Those could have been easily day 2 picks, extra ones for the Bengals. But, it didn't happen, and now the Bengals have to pivot. And hopefully tomorrow they go out and, kind of calm the crowd a little bit by spending some money tomorrow.
So before we get I think we're gonna do a quick mock at the end of this. I want to recap some stuff, but we got one more super chat. It brings up a good question I had for you guys. KP says we got more for Joe Mixon. I want to just we got something for Joe Mixon, but I want to bring up the Joe Mixon topic. Joe Mixon was let go by the Texans earlier this week. You want him back? Mon, you're shaking your head no.
Yeah, I love Joe Mixon. I do. He's one of my all-time favorite Bengal running backs. I don't know. He's not coming back to Cincinnati. There was a falling out there with the staff. I know Callahan didn't care for him. Callahan's not there. I get it. Zach Taylor, I just don't see it ever happening. No, I don't, but I wish him the best.
You see Habat's comment about Duke.
Yeah, that's what
Duke is hacking into our broadcast. It's
Listen,
funny.
Duke, we will probably work for free if you need this information. I know there are some other podcasts out there taking the information. So
Duke Tobin has a Commodore 64. What are you talking about? He can't hack in.
Is there any running back in this free agency class? We talk about running back a lot. I think you can never have too many running backs. Is there a running back out there that you guys would like to see the Bengals bring in, or is that maybe a draft topic?
I feel good at running back, guys. I don't even know why we're even talking about Jeremiah Love. I know.
Stop. Time out. Jeremiah Love's floor is Chase Brown's ceiling. That's why we're talking about Jeremiah Love.
Oh, here we go. Listen, Chase Brown and Samaje Perine. Now, listen, I know what Mon's going to say. I know what he's going to come back with, that every team needs 2 good running backs. I agree with Mon there, but I can't see dumping a bunch of money in free agency on a running back. I think drafting one is absolutely the route the Bengals need to go. But Chase Brown, Samaje Perine, go out and draft a guy. Maybe the beginning of day 3. I'm perfectly good with that.
Deep Ice, what Deep Ice just said is dead on. I would take Algiers in a second from Tampa. Not Tampa, Atlanta. That guy is a battering. He's a battering ram. That would be a good pickup. I like that.
Justin, are there any Samaje Perine type running backs out there in the draft? You know that because Samaje's this is last year of the deal, and I think he really fits a good role for Cincinnati. He's that battering ram to Chase Brown's kind of lightning. Anybody in the draft like that we could target in 4th, 5th, 6th round?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some running backs out there. The 2 Penn State guys are nice players.
Yes.
Mike Washington from Arkansas. I don't really know what how the running back where some of these guys are projected, but there's definitely a lot of strong names out there. Here's a guy that Mon is very familiar with, is C.J. Donaldson out of Ohio State, who had a great career at West Virginia. He's 6'2", 230. That's probably going to be a guy who's a later round pick. Here's another name a guy I really liked, and he's really small, so he's going to be more of a third down, change of pace type back. But Desmond Reed out of Pittsburgh was a really big-time playmaker for the Panthers. He's only 5'6", 175, but he's fast. He's fast. He could probably he could probably even line up in the slot for you. Big-time playmaker in both the passing game and running game. So yeah, there's definitely I feel like in recent years there's been plenty of running backs. It's just with the position being what it is now, and that most teams don't have like a go-to guy, as you guys were talking about earlier. It's more of a running back by committee. Guys have to be able to do a lot of different things now. It's not just about running the football. It's being able to catch the football, line up, split out wide as a receiver and contribute in the passing game, be a blocker. There's just so much to the position now. I think it's definitely made evaluating and finding good running backs, a different process than it was even just like 10, 12, 15 years ago.
Just to follow up on what Justin said, something that concerns me, Chase Brown is a different type back. He's different from Joe Mixon, more, slippery. And he took off last year. And I think the offense looked a little different and a little more explosive in the running game with him. I think they need another player sort of like him in case he gets nicked up. I'd like to have a battering ram. I'd like to have somebody come in and that's 240 pounds. But the guy you were just talking about from Pittsburgh, I know he's smaller than Chase Brown, but I could see the Bengals going after somebody in that style, in that mold of Chase Brown, in case he misses a couple games. They don't want that offense to miss a beat.
A name I have heard associated with the Bengals is J.K. Dobbins, the one that D-Joy brings up. J.K. Dobbins has been linked with the Bengals this offseason, so J.K. Dobbins might be an interesting one there. But let's talk about this real quick, guys, because a lot of people in the chat, they're blowing up the chat right now, and they have every right to be, because are we just shit canning Taj Brooks here? Because the Bengals went out and drafted Taj last year. Mon, you and I were very high on this pick.
I still like him.
So J.K. Dobbins, we're sitting here talking about Jeremiah Love. We're talking about free agent running backs. Are we giving up on Taj Brooks already? Because I don't know if we can do that yet. I like Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. Justin, your thoughts? Taj Brooks, is he a guy that maybe is going to end up being a good pick for us here down the road?
It'd be nice if he came on in 2026 for sure. He didn't do much last year. And you guys and Mon was all about Taj Brooks, and you and I, Jake, both agreed that based off what he did at Texas Tech, that seemed like a really good fit. And also, when you look at the type of running back he is, more of a kind of a bowling ball back there, 5'9", 220, seemed like more of the kind of the thunder to Chase Brown's lightning potentially, but that didn't happen. So hopefully this year 2, he shows a little bit more. One name I was looking through the running list of running backs. Another name I saw that was a bit down the list, so maybe a guy that Cincinnati could get at a premium on a good team friendly deal is Rashad White from the Bucks. He's a nice kind of
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Hey,
he would seem to be a good fit there.
Yeah, we talked about this last episode. Justin, I'll ask you real quick. There's a lot of free agent tight ends out there. I know Eric All was cleared to come back. He's still coming off a couple knee injuries. I'm a little skeptical, but I hope he comes back healthy. He's a great player. There's Isaiah Likely, who I love. There's Jonnu Smith that is going to get released by the Steelers. Good player, played really well for the Dolphins the year before. And another Raven. They drafted Likely and Kohler the same year, and they've both been productive. I think if the Bengals, I think it's a sneaky need, guys. I think tight end really is. Because Gesicki to me is a wide receiver. Drew Sample's an offensive lineman. They need an all-around tight end that can do a little bit of both. And I think some of these guys could maybe fit that mold.
Yeah, listen, Isaiah Likely for me would be a home run. I mean, Isaiah Likely with Mike Gesicki would be incredible. And why not? I mean, it's one of those situations where if you can't beat him, join him. I mean, Isaiah Likely has been a Bengal killer. I'm all for Isaiah Likely. I do want to throw this out here because Jennifer, you are always on top of things. You really are. Very impressive. She also brings up Kendall Milton, guys, a guy that back to the running back situation, the Bengals just re-signed him for another year. They like Kendall Milton, obviously. You're an SEC guy, Justin. Kendall Milton, do you like Kendall Milton? I mean, has he got a chance to make this roster?
Did he crash a car in Athens?
I think he was one of the few who didn't, actually. Yeah.
Why do you have to bring that up every?
I know he's a Georgia guy. I know. I'm waiting for Justin. I was trying to beat him to the punch because I know the jab's coming.
Go ahead, Justin.
But yeah, so the knock on Milton was that he's not. He doesn't have that home run speed. He's not a 4.4 guy, obviously, but very tough runner between the tackles. Very durable, workhorse type. So yeah, if Brooks isn't going to be the Thunder option for the Bengals, maybe it's Milton. I like him. I certainly think he's a guy who probably at the NFL level isn't going to be 1,000-yard rusher, but could definitely give you that that more physical runner between the tackles that I think the Bengals are looking for. But yeah, I like him. Definitely, he's a possibility to make the roster and be a contributor.
So before we're gonna get on to we're gonna do a quick mock draft here. We've got 43 minutes in. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Over 300 people in here. Thank you so much for jumping on with us on Sunday night. We get all of our news from Jeremy Fowler apparently because he's reporting left and right. But the report is that Joe Flacco wants to be a starter. Obviously, we thought that he would want to do that. So he's going to wait and see if he gets an opportunity to start somewhere. Do you think, and he said if he's not going to start somewhere, he'd like to come back and back up Joe Burrow. Do you guys think that the Bengals are going to wait for that decision to happen? Are they going to wait to see if Joe Flacco gets a starting gig?
I do.
I think he will. I think they will.
I think they're going to wait. I think the Bengals would love to have Flacco back. I know Joe Burrow would probably love to have Flacco back. I absolutely 100% believe that the Bengals will wait to see what Joe Flacco gets. Guys, I really cannot see a team right now giving Joe Flacco an opportunity to start. I said this before the season ended. Joe Flacco will be a Bengal next year. I have no doubt in my mind the Bengals will be re-signing Joe Flacco.
I don't know who's going to go out and grab him to start. I don't know what team out there that hasn't already started for needs a starting quarterback. The Atlanta Falcons, that would be about the only one, but they've got their.
I can see No, there could be a lot of teams out there that sort of transition. They might be starting a rookie quarterback. He could come in and play the first 8 games. I hope he comes back to Cincinnati. I really do. I really do. But we'll see how that shakes
The
out.
Browns are the only real team that needs a quarterback, and he already played for them, so I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
The other quarterback that is available is Andy Dalton. There's people out there that want to bring the Red Rifle back and have him back up Joe Burrow. I don't know if I'm on board for that.
I'd rather have Flacco. Flacco has a cannon arm. I think he was just it's a shame he didn't win a few more games. If that defense was just a little bit better, we would have won a couple more games, probably been in the playoffs. It was special, really, what he did last year. It really was. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Let's do this mock draft. So, listen, if we do the mock draft, we talked about free agents. Let's go into this mock. Yeah, the Bengals signed a good defensive lineman, a good safety, a good linebacker in free agency. We talked about a lot of them. Leo Chenal, Devin Lloyd, Brian Cook, and Chazon and Draymond Jones. That we've added quality players, and let's do a draft.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, let me get the screen up, and we'll go. We'll roll with it. All right, guys. Let me try and zoom in a little bit here for you. We're gonna go 4 rounds. That's as much as I can zoom in, actually. We're gonna do 4 rounds.
Well, the Bengals don't start drafting good players till the 4th round anyway, so that's good.
Oh yeah, the left Cordell Olsen, right? We're gonna reject all trades, right?
Yeah, let's not do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. What do you guys want? Yeah. Okay, reject the trade.
Let's reject them tonight.
Reject all trades. And then Jeremiah Love goes to the Chiefs, and I hate that more than I hate. Oh, I hate that.
No, I love it. Look who's there.
Wow. Yeah, Sonny Styles is there.
That's crazy. I mean,
I hope.
you got to take Sonny Styles. You 100% have to take.
David
He's the
Bales,
best player
Sonny
available.
Styles, Peter Woods. You're taking Sonny Styles over Peter Woods, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Sonny Styles is the best player available by far, right?
Listen, I've done so many mocks lately, and Sonny Styles has never been there. When was this last updated?
Yeah, he's not going to be there at 10. But in this exercise, yeah, it's got to be Styles.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. That's an easy one. Rolling on to the second round.
Why does Duke Tobin not just call the 4 of us? I just don't understand it. It makes no sense.
He's. Someone said earlier in the chat he has a fax machine and that's it. And
he's listening. He's obviously listening.
It's because the last time he tried to call you, you told him to shut the fax up, and that was it. That's why Jake is not coaching quarterbacks. He's not the 3rd string quarterbacks coach in Cincinnati. We get to the second round here, and we've got offensive tackle, safety, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren.
D'Angelo Ponce.
Oh, from Indiana. Slot corner.
Yeah. Oh, I'd take Pons in a heartbeat.
Run that ticket right up to.
Hey, that's your nickel. That's your starting nickel.
I like AJ Halsey, man, but I got beat out here. Okay, you guys pick.
I will. Sorry.
Go ahead, Justin. No, Justin, go ahead.
No, I do. If we can go down a little bit, and Jake will love this one. I'm a big fan of Lawrence out of UCF, the edge, only because his father is one of the great players in the history of Astronaut High School. So if he ends up the Bengal, I will be happy to see that.
So before we take the pick, obviously I'm not deep into the draft as Justin is, but we have a safety sitting here that's ranked higher than Pons. You're saying that the cornerback out of Indiana is a lot better than the safety out of Toledo?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm going Pons.
Yeah, and Mon already said we went out and got we went out and got our safety. Listen, right
Brian
now Pons walks in and is our starting nickel right away.
He's tough. He had I watched all the Indiana games in the playoffs.
He was good.
He really popped. He did.
He's good.
He's small. Who is our nickel? And I'm forgetting his name. The guy. Jalen Davis.
No,
the guy that's
Mike Hilton.
Mike Hilton. Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar size to Hilton, but much faster and has just incredible instincts. I mean, the number of plays he made for Indiana this year was nothing short of incredible. And he's a Florida kid, so yeah. I'm going Pons.
All right, we're drafting him. On to the third.
I'm going to tell you right now, if the first 2 rounds is Styles and Pons, this defense is already a lot better.
Dude, I'm freaking taking my shirt off, running down my street if that happens.
You just
wants
want to
to
do
do
that.
that.
Just go do it, man. You promised to do that for everything. Just go do it, man. You really want to do it. Do it. We're sitting here in the third round. We've got a defensive tackle out of Oklahoma, linebacker out of Missouri, another cornerback, tight end. Justin, anybody that jumps out at you, or anybody that jumps out at them?
Well, the Lee kid definitely. He's a taller corner out of Texas A&M. I think he's like 6'3". Like him, Trotter out of Missouri is very highly rated as a linebacker. I don't know much about Halton, to tell you the truth. Interesting that Delp's there. I saw somebody, I think it was DJ USA, made a comment about Delp earlier, and I agree. Nice player for Georgia. Kind of a nice. I thought he was underutilized for the Bulldogs. He was a very athletic tight end, but yeah, didn't get the type of production that I think was kind of expected on him because he was highly rated coming out of high school. But a nice tight end in terms of being able to play in line, give you a solid blocker, but also give you a receiving threat as well.
Yeah, the defensive lineman from Oklahoma, Halton. It's funny. Rapine SI had an article about him, how he could help the Bengals. 6'2", 293, 10-inch
RAS
hands.
score. Yeah, RAS score.
Yeah,
out.
and so he's they had a nice profile on him just yesterday. So he could be that 3 technique that they're looking for, somebody to come in and be a poor man's Geno Atkins or Larry Ogunjobi. They need defensive line help. I know we're going into this mock with them already addressing that in free agency, but I think they're still going to look at those positions, even though every level of the defense was attacked in free agencies. They're still going to look at those spots.
Are we, though? Because I don't think you guys had us picking a defensive tackle.
What do you mean in free agency?
I don't think that you guys in free agency, neither one of you predicted that we would sign a defensive tackle.
Well, there's really not a lot of them. There's DJ Reader potentially coming back. Draymond Jones can do both. Come in. I would take Halton. I would.
I agree.
I think you have
I'd
to
take
go.
Halton.
I would agree too.
Yeah.
Because there really isn't, guys. Listen, if Bengal fans, if you're sitting around waiting for the Bengals to make some kind of splash at defensive tackle, there's really not a lot available. I mean, Jalen Carter obviously now is available. The Bengals aren't going to trade for him, so they're going to draft the defensive tackle pretty high in this draft.
All right, we're sitting here with our last pick of the night, round 4. We've got a center, another cornerback, a couple of Duke players. That's weird. Safety, Bud Clark.
That's the ACC champion Duke Blue Devils to you, buddy.
Oh my God, that hurts. That hurts. And I, yeah.
That's a shot to Florida State all the way.
Yeah, that hurts.
More so Miami, but yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I think is Slaughter gone from Florida? I'm sure he is.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So
Connor Lew from Auburn is good too.
Yeah,
I'm looking at center.
Fisher from Indiana was great this year. Kendrick Law is a big time receiver. Chris McClellan from Missouri would be an intriguing option at defensive tackle, although we just went there. And then if we go down a little, a name I saw, Harold Perkins, really intriguing chess piece for at the linebacker position, can do a little bit of everything. Sort of a poor man's. Who was the linebacker I'm thinking of from Clemson? Went really high. Hasn't really had a great career. He was
Isaiah
a top 10 pick.
Simmons?
Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to Simmons in that he can do a lot. He can line up as a linebacker. He can rush off the edge. He can even drop into coverage. He can do a lot of different things. But another name I saw, Zane Durant, Penn State. He's undersized.
Yes.
He's an undersized defensive tackle, but very productive at the college level. And then another name, and I know he's a Gator, but Devin Moore out of Florida. He measured 6'3" at the combine. He only ran 4.5, but he's still coming off of a injury. They believe he will run under 4.4 at his pro day.
Justin, looking at
Durant.
that, let me ask you this, Justin. Looking at that list, is there a receiver maybe that jumps out to you?
Well, Law would be the guy if you're going to go receiver.
I mean, we've talked about this, guys. You know, is Yoshi Voss the answer for that number 3 spot at wide receiver? Is he the answer? If he is, okay. But, you know, Law right now, he's one of the best players available at a position that is kind of a sneaky need, Mon, is it not? I mean, a number 3 receiver, I don't think this is too high to take a shot at one of those receivers. What do you think?
No, I wouldn't have a problem in the 4th round if they picked a wide receiver if he's the best player available. But you're right. I mean, Yoshi Voss is he's a productive player, but I would like to have a little more explosion from that slot receiver. And somebody. I mean, not that Tyler Boyd was a burner, but Tyler Boyd was.
I think this guy's
somebody like that.
Tyler Boyd, right, Justin?
Say that again.
Is he more like a Tyler Boyd type?
You're talking about Law?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would be. But he's fast. He's got some speed. He can fly.
Okay.
And
but physically, I would say kind of similar. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
On the Yoshi point, is not only is he's not really stepped up to be that dynamic slot receiver that we really needed to complement T and Jamar. On top of that, he's coming up on a contract year shortly, so the amount of production that he's given us, he's probably not going to be a Bengal in the foreseeable future. So this is not a bad spot to go and grab potentially someone who could replace him now, and if not now, they can replace him in a year or two.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say is I think if you do go and you get a defensive lineman, a linebacker, and a defensive back in the first 3 rounds, let's say, you hit all 3 levels of the defense, then yeah, if there's a wide receiver or a tight end, maybe Eli Stowers from Vandy Falls. He went between our 3rd round pick and our 4th round pick, I believe. But yeah, if someone's there that's really intriguing, yeah. Go.
Juan has also talked about drafting an offensive lineman. There's a couple of offensive linemen here. Anybody worth taking over the wide receiver?
We need a swing tackle. We need a swing tackle, guys.
Well, Tristan Lee would be an intriguing option there.
Yeah.
Markel Bell.
Oh, he's a big guy. He's 6'9", right?
6'9", 350, and ran like a 5'3" at the combine. That would be another intriguing possibility as well.
Well, Mon, who do you think? Mon, you pick this one.
You guys mentioned the defensive lineman. Durant, was that his name? I would like him personally. I want to load up on the defensive line. I understand where go back to the defensive tackle if you don't mind.
Zane Durant, Penn State.
Yeah. Where are we at? Yeah, I like him, man. I do.
He's actually from Orlando. Durant
is he? We picked a defensive tackle at 72. I don't know, man.
Let's just go wide receiver. Just get the wide receiver. Just settle it.
Okay.
Give Eric a little bit of joy from the 3rd round of the draft.
That center from Duke would be nice. The center from Duke would be really nice.
Ted Karras is going to be a Bengal for the next 20 years. What are you talking about?
Okay. Yeah. George Blanda of centers. I get it.
How many years have we drafted a center? We had Matt Lee, then we had McLaughlin last year. We'll grab another one, and they'll lose him to another team. I think we're the wide receiver.
We're actually going to train Karras how to kick, so he'll be our backup kicker too.
Yeah.
You can just convert to long snapper, and we're fine. All right, I'm going to take Kendrick Law. You guys good with that? All right.
Yeah.
I do it. All
right. Now, we had some fun. Let's get back to free agency. Let's take this off the screen.
That's a good draft, though, guys.
I think that's a good. Yeah, I think it satisfies.
I'm telling you right now, if the Bengals walk away at 10 with Sonny Styles, that's not going to happen, like Justin said. But if that happens, then maybe I'll be running down the street with Mom with our shirts off.
So disappointing.
It could happen. He could pull a Laramie Tunsil on draft night.
I just want to thank I want to thank Pro Football Network for the glitch and allowing us to get Sonny Styles.
I mean, we'll get Sonny Styles, and he still won't see the field over Barrett Carter because Barrett Carter is just him. That's how we rank.
We are, guys. I will say we are getting ripped for not drafting depth at the offensive line. We are getting ripped for that.
Yeah,
That's understandable.
best player available. The best offensive lineman was 40 spots down.
Yes,
we're
we cannot
going
read.
with the 110th pick sitting there at 110th.
We cannot
Cody
read.
Ford's our fifth wide receiver. Also, Cody Ford is a good offensive lineman. He's good.
Oh yeah, I thought you said Cody Core. I'm like, whoa.
Flashback
Flashback to Mon
you were
when he was going
thinking
crazy.
Cody Core.
I
Let's
was.
not get into
Guys,
that again. Let's not get into that again.
We're appreciative of everybody here. We're 1 hour in. We're gonna wrap this up, but before we do, let's go and recap Mon's top 3 guys that are gonna be signed tomorrow. Jake's, and then Justin, you can throw out any names that you want to add to that. Mon, who are your top 3 guys?
Listen, I'm going 3 positions. I'm going defensive line, linebacker, safety. Okay, I'm going 3 positions. I'm going to give you 2 from each spot. Okay, Brian Cook and Kobe Bryant. If they walk away with one of those guys tomorrow, Mon's going to be happy. Mon's going to be running with his shirt off down the street. I want Chazon and I want Draymond Jones on the defensive line. Okay, both of them, one of them. I'll take it. Leo Chenal, or I know I said this the other night, Devin Lloyd is going to be expensive. But you know what? No more Walmart mentality with the Cincinnati Bengals. Go out, spend the money. He is going to be the quarterback of the defense. If they get Devin Lloyd, I will be ecstatic. But if they don't get him, I'll settle for Leo Chenal. I want that. And I'll throw in one other person. I want a tight end. I want Jonnu Smith, Kolar, or Likely. One of those guys. I think that's going to make the Bengals a better team.
Jake?
I said it last show. I'm going Scott, Owe, Lloyd. Those 3 guys, I think, would be an absolute home run free agency. No matter who else they got after that, if they sign those 3 guys, home run. But just hear me out. There will be an ex-Green Bay Packer on this Bengals team. I just feel it. Look at it. Watch the name Rashawn Gary. He could very well be a Cincinnati Bengal.
I'll take it.
I like the predictions. Justin, you have any names you want to throw out there, or did they cover them all?
Well, they did a lot. They threw a lot of names out there, but 2 I like that I'm at 1 on each side of the ball. 2 names that I would not be upset to see end up in Cincinnati. And at tight end, which is a position we've been talking about a lot tonight, Cade Otton would be a player I'd love to see end up in Cincinnati. And then at linebacker, Nakobe Dean from Philadelphia. He is a
Georgia guy, right?
He's a Georgia guy. So hopefully, the Brown family gets him a good Uber.
Cam Taylor-Britt's leaving. He's not going to drive with Cam Taylor-Britt.
Mon, too soon.
But yeah, he's a heat-seeking missile. He has, I think, had some injury issues in his time at Philadelphia, but he's young. He's only 25, and he's a playmaker. So if he's a guy that ends up in Cincinnati, I think that will be a home run.
Yeah. But real quick, like Justin, you said something a few minutes ago, how the Bengals always look at certain specs when it comes to defensive linemen. I think they need to start doing that. Like I know Nakobe Dean is a linebacker, but he's a smaller linebacker that they don't normally look at. Yeah, and so I think a defensive lineman that's 6'2", 240, 245, I wish they would consider those things, but they don't. So we'll see. I hope you're right.
Yeah, well, to me, the weight is still important. Like Reuben Baines, he's only 6'2", but he weighs 265, 270. He's a fire hydrant. Yeah, he's not tall, but he's put together.
He's a specimen like me. Yeah, you're right.
Advanced genetics. You're right.
Yeah.
But I don't like those really kind of niche pass rushers who are 6'2", 235, 240. Not crazy about those guys, but to me, the height doesn't matter as much if you have the the ability. In fact, sometimes even shorter defensive linemen have the ability to play with leverage and can utilize their lack of length and height to their advantage if they have other traits that make up for it. So before
we get out of here, a couple names that I just see pop up on this list. Mon's talked about not being able to replace either one of these guys for some time. Larry Ogunjobi and DJ Reader are both free agents. I don't think those will be day one splashes, but maybe day two or day three. Could you guys see us bringing either one of those guys back?
I could see Larry Ogunjobi being a possibility. I just don't see DJ Reader being a possibility, but I don't know. I don't know what the relationship is. It didn't end great from DJ and the Bengals. Larry O's kind of just worked itself out. I could see Larry O being a Bengal possibly. I just don't see the DJ Reader reunion like everyone else does.
Justin, any thoughts?
No, I mean, Reader isn't the Reader from 3 years ago. I mean, they brought him in on a cheap deal to be a rotational piece. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah. I just don't see it. Justin?
Yeah. I don't. Those guys are both a long way away from where they were when they were contributors in Cincinnati. I think going younger and finding guys that are, still have some prime in front of them would be preferable.
Yeah. Agreed.
Agreed. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. Again, tomorrow, free agency really starts at 12 o'clock. So as soon as news breaks, it's probably just going to be Mon, but Mon's going to come on here and give you his thoughts, interact with you in the chat, and see how that rolls. And the moment all 3-4 of us are available, we'll jump on and give our instant reactions. I know Ace and Zim are probably going to be going live tomorrow night, so make sure you tune in. Click on notifications because it's either going to be the Pulse or the Cincinnati guys going out and talking about this free agency. This is going to be just like it was in 2022 when it was boom, 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 and we were extremely excited. And then I think we went on watch to see if an offensive lineman could come to the Cincinnati Mall. So not going to be able to sleep tonight. We lost an hour of sleep tonight, and it's going to be even worse tonight, or last night, even worse tonight. So going to be interesting. Jake, why don't you get us out of here?
All right, guys. As always, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the awesome podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify. As always, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure you give us that 5-star review. We very much appreciate that. As always, follow Mon on Twitter at TheFireMon. Follow me on Twitter at CoachJakeOwens9. Follow Eric on Twitter at eFlash with 2 H's 88. Follow the Cincinnati Podcast Network on Twitter at CincinnatiPod. And as always, guys, follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter. Please, 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 at the Bengals Pulse. The same on Instagram and TikTok without the at the Bengals Pulse. And follow our good buddy Justin Wells. Justin, thank you so much for coming on tonight. You can find him on Twitter at Justin L. Wells. I know you will be back very soon. This is the Justin Wells time of the year. So we appreciate you coming on, brother. We really do, man. Thanks for coming on tonight.
We're going live from Athens in a couple weeks, right? Justin's going to go on
Yeah.
We should find a chicken. We should go up there. That would be a blast. I would love it.
All right, guys. Hey, listen.
Gear.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you. We love you. You guys are absolutely the best. Tune in tomorrow. If there's any late breaking news, our guy Mon will be going on. Hopefully one of us can jump on as well. If not, Mon will take you through the free agency frenzy, hopefully going on in Bengaldom tomorrow. He is Mon. I am Jake, Eric, our good buddy Justin. Hoo day, Bengal fans. We will talk to you soon.